I'm actually pretty excited about this one. We have the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra and the iPhone 16 Pro Max, the two top dogs respectfully. Both with great cameras, both cameras capable of shooting high quality log video. And today we're gonna take a look at which log looks better. Apple log versus is it Samsung log? Galaxy log? S log? No, it's not S log. I don't know. Just log versus log. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't get a model for today's shoot, so you guys are just gonna have to deal with looking at me for the next few minutes, sorry. First up, the iPhone. Main wide camera, Apple log, manually graded. And here's Samsung. All right, so let me lay it out. We're shooting with both devices in their stock camera app. On the S25 Ultra, I'm gonna be shooting in 8K 24 frames per second in Samsung log. We gotta figure out a name. We can't just call it log. We're shooting in 8K because that's what this device can do, and this is how I'm gonna be using this device when I'm out using it in the real world on a day-to-day basis. I'm pretty much always gonna be shooting in 8K. And we're gonna be shooting 4K in 24 frames per second in Apple log on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. All right, here's the main sensor on the S25 Ultra. We are shooting in 8K 24 frames per second in the Pro video mode. I do not have an ND filter for the S25 Ultra, so we're just gonna leave the ISO as low as humanly possible and let the shutter speed just fluctuate and do whatever it sees necessary. Now, main camera, iPhone 16 Pro Max, of course, again, Apple log 4K, 24 frames per second. One thing I know from shooting with Apple log for the last 2.5 years is that Apple really, it's a true, like almost unprocessed image. I still think there's something to do with the highlights and the dynamic range. Smartphones are just known for having insane dynamic range. But when it comes to like sharpening and micro contrasting, Apple pretty much gets rid of all of that. All right, now here is that brand new ultra wide camera. We can get really good and wide if we stretch out a little bit. How we looking? I'm glad that we have Samsung log available on all the main cameras on the back. We do not have it on the front-facing camera, so we're not gonna be comparing front-facing cameras in this video. How we looking? Beautiful day out. Now, one thing that I think is pretty cool that Samsung did was give us an automatic color grading option in the gallery. If you're shooting in log, you can just go right in the gallery, hit one tap of the button, and go from log to normal looking video real quick. I think that's a slight advantage maybe for people that aren't used to shooting log. You can kind of always shoot in log now and not really worry about having to go into post and color grade afterwards. You could do it right inside of your phone like that, and Apple doesn't have that advantage. And one thing I'd like to see both providers provide is some kind of Rec 709 preview. Now, we do get that on the iPhones with third-party apps and even Apple's own Final Cut Pro camera app, but in the standard camera app, we don't have that option, and neither does Samsung. So I'd like to see both providers add that in a firmware update. The iPhone 16 Pro Max on the 1X camera, just to show you how far up we are. Then we could punch into the 2X camera, which is just a crop into the 1X. And then we have our telephoto 5X camera, which is 120 mil equivalent, and that looks pretty good. Now, we don't really have a 10X option on here, but I can kind of scroll into it, which nailing it right on the dot of 10X is not easy. There we go. Bing, bang, boom. Here is the wide camera. Here is the 3x camera. And then we have our telephoto 5x camera. Image looks good. And now we can bring it all the way to 10x. And even 20x. That was in 4K. We got all the way up to 20x, and now we are in 8K, and we still have the option to punch into 10x. And gotta be honest, image still looks pretty good. So for video editing, color grading, I like to use DaVinci Resolve. This was one of the parts of this whole comparison that I was most interested in. I really wanted to see what it looked like off of my phone screen where everything always looks good and onto my computer, get it back to a normal looking color, throw a tiny bit of a creative look on there and just see how the whole grade holds up. And I also want to see how the camera itself handles exposure. Does it push the whites completely smashed to the roof and the blacks completely smashed to the floor? Or does it leave some headroom to play with so that you're kind of not clipping anything? Let's take a look here at DaVinci Resolve. This first clip that we have up is of the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. I gotta be honest, it's a pretty looking log. It looks very nice, looks clean. So the way that I'm thinking about grading this Samsung clip, because this is the first time that I've ever graded one of these Samsung log clips before, is I've downloaded the official Samsung log conversion LUT that Samsung makes, and I think I'm gonna apply it, but I'm not gonna apply it at a full 100%. We'll take a look at what it looks like at a full 100%, because I know with the iPhone, when you shoot in log, Apple log, and then you just apply their LUT, it looks exactly like the super smartphone-y look, and that is not at all what I'm trying to get here. I'm not looking for the most punchiest saturation and just super hard contrast and a lot of digital sharpening. That's not the look I'm going for, but I think I'm gonna probably be dialing it back to about 80% and then making my own adjustments on top of that. 80% is still gonna kind of keep away some of the saturation and contrast. So let's create another node here and we'll go over to my LUTs, and we see I have it right here, the Samsung LUT. And I'm gonna add it on my second node. The reason why I added it on that second node is because if I want to go back and make any adjustments underneath the conversion LUT, then I still have that option. So here we are, this is 100%. Let's see if we can make this screen any larger here. And I gotta say, it looks actually pretty good. Usually smartphones really harshly go overboard on the blues, on blue skies. They want you to really see that blue sky. And for my liking, this is fairly decent. If I really wanted to sit here and mess with this image, it might be a little too oversaturated for me, but I could take care of that with a few clicks. But for right now, this at 100% looks pretty good. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come here to the node that my conversion LUT is on, and then I'm gonna come over here to my key, and in my output of this particular node, I am going to dial that node intensity back, and I think I'm gonna take it back to about 80%. Now you can see it's starting to get a little bit duller and flatter. If I bring it all the way down, it's like it never existed. So we're gonna just let it do its thing a little bit since it's an official LUT, and obviously Samsung knows their own footage and knows how it should be converted over to Rec 709. So 80%, I like that. It actually looks a lot more like a real camera at 80%. White balance, I think, is actually extremely good. I really enjoy the way the greens are looking. This image really looks true to life. Like those are the exact colors of this shirt. My hat, everything is like perfect. My skin tones, Samsung nailed this. Like nailed it. Then what I'm gonna do here is create another node. I'm gonna go into my effects, and what I'm looking for right now is actually a very simple exposure tool, just something to make some nice fine micro adjustments, and then we'll add a little bit of a film look to it to try to just take away even more of that smartphone look. So what I'm gonna do is come down here, and Artlist actually makes a really great, simple, super simple exposure pro tool here. And you know what? If you want to get into DaVinci Resolve, but you come over to this color page and all of this is just way too intimidating for you, something like this really simple exposure pro tool from Artlist can get the job done and keep everything really simple. And this is all part of Artlist's new tools for their active members. Exposure's looking pretty good. I think maybe we could drop it a little bit. I don't like super bright images myself. We're even gonna pull the midtones down here. Are they just filling up your entire scope from top to bottom? I'm not a fan of that. I don't really know anybody that's really into cameras that knows what they're doing that's a fan of that. You want a clean sky right here. And look, if you look at our scope over here, our waveform, nothing is coming anywhere near 100%, and look how well exposed this is. So now what I'm gonna do is come back into my effects, add another node, and now we're gonna add Artlist Cine Style. So now when we turn it on, you can see it already gives it kind of a nicer, more punchier look without adding too much saturation. You can see the sky has a little bit more attitude to it. You can see some more contrast on my shirt, some more shadows on my face are more defined. And then I could bring the color adjustment up, which is kind of just like a film look. And I wanna park it right around, I don't know, 20, maybe 20% is good. And then we'll turn this off. This is what we had before the Cine Style plugin, and then we turn it back on. And now it really doesn't look like a smartphone. It has a filmic type look to it. It's a great image. We might bring this S-curve down just a little bit. For my taste, it's a little too contrasty. So we'll drop it from 50 to 30. And then we can go down the list. If you like the letterbox effect, we can come down here. It has one automatically built in for you. We just bing, bang, boom. And then we can make our adjustment of our crop and see how much we want to show. We can come down to grain. Film grain is always nice. You don't want to have it too overpowering, maybe around 5%. And then we have a vignette tool here, all in one plugin, which is really great. We'll turn the opacity down on this. We will turn the softness up here. And I think that looks pretty good. By the way, if you guys are interested in picking up any of these many Artlist plugins, you can sign up to Artlist using the link in the description below. And if you happen to be a Premiere Pro user, Artlist really has some nice stuff for you to check out. They have their library extension available for Premiere Pro, so you could just find your music without even leaving Premiere Pro, which is great. Super jealous of that. I hope there's a way for it to come to DaVinci. If not, I'm sure it's a limitation of DaVinci, but that would be great if we can get that. You also get an AI assistant extension that has things like auto zoom and silence removal. We have a ton of different plugins. I'll leave the link in the description below if you want to check it out for yourself. And by using that super special link, Artlist is going to add 2 free months onto your active subscription. The S25 Ultra just keeps impressing me more and more the more that I use it. I did not have high expectations for the look and the quality of the footage coming out of this camera, even in log. I didn't anticipate anything even coming close to Apple Log, because Apple Log is that good. And even though it's not ProRes like we have in Apple Log, it's still a high quality 10-bit image. We have 4K up to 120 on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. We have 4K 120 on the Samsung S25 Ultra. We also have 8K at 24 and 30 frames per second, which I think is a huge advantage, especially for reframing your image. One of the things that impressed me most about the log video coming out of the Samsung was that they matched the color science across all the cameras when shooting in log, which was not something that I thought was gonna happen. I thought they would have probably overlooked it. It's hard to do that. It's hard to get the contrast right between different cameras. Apple pulled it off with Apple Log, but so did Samsung. The colors match perfectly. For the first time since Apple announced Apple Log, do we have an actual competitor that is neck and neck with the iPhone in the pro video department, and that is the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. So Apple log versus Samsung log, the gap is pretty much closed. Take your pick. Whichever ecosystem you're in, you're gonna enjoy shooting with the log footage out of here if that's something that you're looking to do. Let me know in the comment section below which image you actually liked better. Have you used both of these phones? Have you used the Samsung S25 Ultra and shot and log? What do you think of it? Are you as impressed as I am? Because again, thoroughly impressed. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you Artlist for sponsoring today's video, and I will see you guys next time. Thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. Solo.